Hello, I am Larry Weinberg, the Rum River Arts Center Director. This may be your first project or you've done several in the past. This is going to be a quick tour of RRAC and what we have to offer you as a participant, volunteer, and maybe even as a donor. Our mission at the Rum River Arts Center as a 501(c) nonprofit organization is to make a difference through art, being a welcoming and inspiring environment for artists of all ages. So you can explore your creativity through our classes, collaboration, and partnerships in the North Metro. Our history is that we began in 2009 as a small 500 square foot studio and have expanded to well over 5,000 square feet. We have many different areas that is like a maze here at the Rum River Arts Center. We're located in a historic milk factory along the Rum River in Anoka. We have several programs and partnerships that we do with kids, teens, adults, older adults. We have a new ceramic program that with wheel and hand-built pottery, where we have a whole community of potters that have started here. We have summer camps. We do programs with the libraries, with the school districts, and the local communities in the North Metro. We have several different mediums that we use here at the Art Center: drawing, acrylic painting, watercolor painting, mixed media, hand-built pottery, wheel throwing pottery, mosaics, polymer clay. We do stained glass and many more. One of the big programs we do at the Art Center is our summer art camps. And in 2021, we're expanding the program to include older adults with 5 or 6 new camps that are geared just to older adults. We have over 40 different programs for kids, and they can be either half day or all day. Since we're a nonprofit art center, we depend on you to help us run the organization. We need donations, we need volunteers. It all makes a difference. We are 95% funded by people like you by taking classes or making donations. Both monetary and in-kind donations are able to keep the Art Center thriving in any time. You can donate online. You can come in and visit us. All donations are tax deductible. Please enjoy the class.
Just to start out, I don't know, have you done much drawing before?
No, ma'am.
No, not too much. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you. This is a nice drawing pad. I like it because it's not too little. And I have lots of different sizes so that, you know, depending if I'm outside sketching or I'm doing a bigger drawing, but this is good quality paper that you can buy, and they have this at Michael's and Hobby Lobby, so kind of nice. So that's what I have for paper, but really you can use computer paper too. That works just as well. So this is a 9 by 12, and they have what they call good, better, and best, and this is the 400, which is a little thicker paper. You can look for that if you want to. And so I have an HB pencil. Let's see. An HB, oh yeah, HB, and it's written like right on the edge of the pencil, so it says HB, and that just means that it's a middle pencil. It's kind of like a number 2 school pencil that you would be using. And they make lots of different pencils. I'll go through that really quick for you. This one here, I had it set out a minute ago. Okay, no. Just so that you know about it when you go, if you're going to do some shopping. This one is a 2H, and that just means that you get a finer line with the pencil. Sometimes it'll say an F, and that just means you're moving towards a finer, harder line with the kind of pencil that you have. And then just, let's see here, where did I put that? Here's one. Okay, this one is a 2B. You can see I've used it quite a bit because it's kind of all the way almost done. And that means it's softer. So the pencil itself, you can do a lot of shading with it. So that's kind of a nice thing to have, just a variety of pencils. But honestly, the HB will really do a lot for you. You don't need to get too fancy. And then this is called a kneaded eraser right here. You can purchase these. They come in a little rectangle, and then you smush them up and you can use them for erasing. And I like these because they really, they don't tear your paper up or get marks on it like you would with a regular #2 pencil. So this is a kneaded eraser, and they're not expensive at all. And then this is a blending tool, and you might have seen these before. You can see I've used it a lot. It's nice for smearing things up a bit. And then they also come in a little bit smaller sizes. So they come in a pack, variety pack. So just wanted to go over that a little bit with you. Do you have any questions?
That all made sense. I took notes about it. So
Oh, good, good, good. Okay, so gosh, there are so many ways to start a drawing, and I'm not going to go over all the different ways to start a drawing. I'm just going to show you the way that I started this one. And we're thinking about birds. We're thinking today about winter birds. I was reading that the robins here in Minnesota, some of them really do stick around for the winter.
Welcome, Amanda.
Okay, good. Okay, I don't see Amanda yet, but she's
I'm here. I'm here. Thank you so
Hi,
much.
Amanda. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good. Yeah. Hi. Where are you from, Amanda?
Los Angeles.
Oh, wow. That's cool. James is from Texas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And how did you hear about our class?
I came upon it online. So
All
and
right.
I've done some of the others, and I'm so grateful. Thank you
That's
so much.
cool. So cool. Well, we will have another one coming up in another couple weeks, and there's classes that you can take that are ongoing classes. There's drawing and watercolor. There's a painting class. So all kinds of things. You're lucky to be in a warm place. And I was telling one of the other students that we woke up to, I think it was 27 below this morning.
No. Oh, my goodness. I didn't even know that exists. That's crazy. Wow.
It's a little nuts. So I
Oh,
think
my
now it
goodness.
warmed up to about -2. So
Oh, my
yeah,
goodness.
so actually, I have long underwear on, but it's nice and warm in here. That you probably didn't need.
That's
to know that.
incredible.
Anyway. Okay, well, I was just going over materials a little bit, and we were talking about different pencils and different paper. Are you pretty familiar with things like that, or?
Yeah, I have the pencil in like that. I don't know what you call the eraser, but it's like that gray erase. It's like an artist eraser that like
Yep.
gets all squishy. So yeah, no, I've got it.
Good.
Thank you so much.
We were just thinking about or talking a little bit about the birds that stick around here in Minnesota, and besides the blue jays and the chickadees, I think this is a little, where did that one go? I had a little, oh, maybe this is a chickadee, I'm not sure. But anyway, oh, there it is. There's the chickadee. Yeah, so they stick around, the cardinals, and we get the sparrows and the woodpeckers here. But I really didn't realize that the robins stick around. And I did a little research, and I found out that there is a small percentage of them that hang out here. They don't migrate south, and they are just basically foraging for fruits and berries. So it's kind of neat. I was going on a walk the other day before it got so cold, and there's this really like a tree with lots of dried berries, or it must be little cherries or something like that. And there in that tree, there must have been 12 robins. I couldn't even believe it. And that's when I started thinking about the fact that they don't all go south. They stick around a little bit. So, but that was kind of fun to see. So we're thinking about how to set up our drawing. When you have a photo image, I did this drawing earlier. And then this is the one that we're going to do today, this little robin. And, you know, when you're thinking about how to start, there are so many different approaches to doing a drawing. Of course, there's the contour method. That's one method. Another one would be this method that we're going to do today. What we're going to do today is we're thinking about placing our subject, which is the bird, into a rectangular shape. So sometimes we place them into an oval shape or a circle or even a triangle. But I thought this would work pretty well to make a rectangle and then put my bird in the rectangle. So that's how we'll start. And I'm going to walk you through it. I even wrote it down because it helps me to teach it. So I'm going to move this out of the way. And here's a photo image of what we're thinking about today. Okay, so I'm just going to walk you through it, and I will probably do mine with a marker so that you can see it, because I realize that this is not very easy for you to see, and I do need to get a marker real quick. All right, so the first step with your pencil is to draw your rectangle very lightly. So I would say, you know, you get your paper ready, think about where do you want to place this on your paper. You probably can see this one pretty well. So I placed it up a bit because I want to make a branch here. You may want to make something else, but leave some room on the sides and off the top. So don't just have it, you know, sitting down on the bottom of your paper. Bring it up a bit for a nice composition. And I've off-centered mine, so it's not right in the middle of my drawing paper. Okay, so think about how tall do you want this bird to be, and that's where I would start. So I just made a simple rectangle here, and probably would help if I did it with a marker, right? Can you see it better if I do it with a marker? You guys? Yeah, well, they're muted.
Probably. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. So let's see here. You can see that okay. All right, so I'm just making a rectangle here. And I'm not measuring it or using a ruler. I'm just kind of winging it. But you could use a straight edge if you feel that would help you. Okay. So there's my rectangle. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, that's okay, because you'll know that I use marker. You're using a pencil, and normally when you start to draw something, you don't want to press too hard. You want to keep it pretty soft so that you can erase the marks that you make. Yeah. All right. So I'm making a line down the center, so I divide it in half. This is just one way to do it. There are a lot of ways to do a drawing, but I thought this would be a good way to do it. And then I'm going to divide it in thirds. Okay. And that's sort of my grid. That's my starting point for this. And, you know, you can actually measure the bird yourself with your pencil and see that, excuse me, you know, you can see where things are lining up. And that's how I started this drawing. Anyway, I noticed that I drew this center line here, and I noticed that the corner of the bird's eye matches up with the halfway mark, the horizontal halfway mark. So I thought that was sort of interesting. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do we've got this part organized. The first line I'm going to draw is a line that starts from the halfway mark and it goes all the way down to the bottom, and it's just a simple curved line. And well, I better do it with marker. Sorry, I keep forgetting. Okay, so I'm just going to make a nice curved line here. And when I do my drawing, I'm doing a method that we call simplify and then refine. So not only are we fitting the subject into a geometric shape, we're also just simplifying the subject, and then later we go back and add the refining edges and seeing, oh, this is curved here a little bit differently. And the other thing I would just want to point out, and you can see it on this drawing, is that I'm really sketchy. Not seriously sketchy. I mean, that was kind of a funny way to say it. What I mean is I'm sketching with my pencil, sorry. And my line is, I'm finding my way. So I don't have to have this perfect line or perfect mark that I make. I can do some, the word is sketching, so that later I can erase the lines that don't quite, that I don't want, okay? So this is my first curve here. My second curve is going to actually, if you go over on this side of your grid and you make a mark on this area right here and divide that in half, you'll find that that's kind of where the indentation is right here. So I'm going from the bottom curve all the way up to the halfway mark. So let's do it in the marker. And I'm trying, good. Okay, so that's getting me organized, isn't it? And it's just so cool the way you can find these ways to organize your drawing. So the next one, I'm going to go from this mark here up here, and again, it's just a nice curved line. Okay, I'm going to move down here to his little wing, his tail feather, and it's, well, it's just starting, actually it ends on this corner. So you can make your marks coming out like that, and then this is a bit curved, and then there's a mark here too. Okay, so I hope that's helpful in just getting started. When I measured the eye, it was very interesting. When I looked at my photo reference and I measured the eye, your pencil is a wonderful tool for drawing. It's also good for getting angles. You know, you can take it on your paper and go, oh, it goes like that. And this is like that. These are sort of the same angle. I guess that's the right way to say it. So you can also measure by looking at the eye, and I just take my pencil and go, oh, from here to here, 1, 2, 3. So I really actually measured that there's about 5 eyes across here. Maybe not quite. Let's see. Yeah, 5 eyes across. So that can help you know how big you need to make your eye, first of all. So let's go back to our drawing. And when I did the measuring, I noticed that the corner of the eye lines up with this halfway mark. So I can make that eye. That's often kind of tricky to find out where things are in a drawing. Okay, and there's a little triangular shape off of that edge. And the beak is lined up to the side here of the eye. So you can get that in. And I'll bring the photo reference up for you in a sec. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get his leg in. His leg is very close to his tail feather where it comes. And you can kind of get that set up where you want that to go. All right. I'll bring the photo reference back for you. Okay. So now I think we're ready to think about refining this a little bit. I noticed here on the bird that instead of just being this simple line, we need to bring it in a little bit, right? And that helps it take some shape here a little bit better. I think I've got this pretty good. So as I said, these are guidelines that I've drawn. You're going to want to erase your guidelines here that you've made. That's why we draw really lightly to begin with. Okay. I'm going to move over here to this one that I started. And I'm going to think about, are you guys all doing okay? You doing good? Okay. So I'm going to think about how could I shade this now? How could I shade it? And I know this is probably hard to see, but I need to switch over to this now, I think, as long as you're all set up, organized. Okay. So I use this little eraser a lot. And I did draw this out at home, so I'd have it ready to go. But when I think about the shading part of it, here's the drawing that I did. Generally speaking, I'm working light to dark. In other words, I'm starting with my lighter values. I'm also using my blending tool. If you don't have a blending tool, you could just use a tissue. That should work pretty well. But I'm thinking about finding where my darkest darks are and adding those down the road a little bit. But if we look back at our photo image, you can see that the darkest darks would be his eye. However, there's a highlight there, and we'll do that together, I think. His beak is not as dark as his eye, but it's dark under. You can see that. And then down here, his tail feathers are pretty dark. And I printed this out in black and white because I think when you're working on a drawing, it helps a lot to see it in black and white. It helps you be able to identify the values. So in drawing or in art, value means the lights and darks of your pencil. It's also the lights and darks with your pigments if you're working in another medium like watercolor. But we're working in pencil today, so it's just really has to do with how hard you press with your hand when you're shading. So you all probably know that already, but you know, it's just something to think about. We can also create texture when we're doing a drawing like this. When I look at this here, I've added texture. I didn't make every single feather. I just did some of them so the viewer's eye can kind of, what's the right word? Your eye sort of completes it, but there's a variety of different marks that I've made, and some are soft, some are light, and some are a little bit darker, but I got pretty dark here. I probably need to get darker down in here, and so I'm pressing a little harder. So if you've got your drawing organized in a way that you feel like it feels right to you, then you can start the shading part, okay? So where could we start with this? I think it might be fun just to do an eye together. This over. And really when you do the bird's eye, there it is. You know, it's really just a circle. And then I like to leave a highlight, and the highlight here is right up about there. And what I normally do is I just draw that shape that I see in the highlight, and it's just a little curved rectangle, right? Whoops. And then I shade in all the rest of it. And I'm shading it with my hand down on the table, and that helps me to have it anchored, and I'm not moving my hand. I'm really just moving my fingers more than I'm moving my whole hand, right? So that's an important thing to think about when you're doing some shading. And then on this little robin, there's a little triangle of light, which is sort of interesting. When you really, you know, when we're drawing, we're really observing, and we spend some time observing and some time thinking about how things are made and how do we want to draw those things. So there's a little bit of white or light around the eye, which I'm sort of exaggerating it, but I thought that you guys can see it a little bit better. Oops. So I don't really, this is getting shaded in very solid. In other words, I'm not seeing much, I'm not seeing my marks because it's got a nice solidness to it. Does that make sense? Okay, and then I'm also noticing on the bird that surrounding this light area, we have some darker areas, and those feathers are going from side to side. They're going horizontally, right, Tom?
Yes.
And another cool thing, you guys, that you can do when you're looking at patterns and shading is you could just very lightly draw from his beak and think about what is this shape instead of worrying about every single feather. Just say, oh, okay, so here's his beak, and just make a little line that follows along, and that will help you know where the light, or excuse me, where the dark area is. So this I would shade side to side, and even up here it's going more to an angle this way. All right, so let's just think about going back to the drawing. Where's my drawing? Oops. I'll just do it on. So that's sort of what I did when I did this one. And my marks are going from side to side. And it's that light against dark that helps you to, the darks help us see the lights, and the lights help us see the darks. So something to think about. So work up here. I would start here, get his eye done, get working on the beak a little bit. And I'll leave this photo image up for you as I work. And we can work here for a little while. I think that would be good. Okay, thanks, Tom. So I think sometimes when we just think about shapes as opposed to the whole, or sometimes sometimes we're thinking of the whole as being one solid shape, but if we look at the patterns, that can help us when we're shading. Okay. So these marks are going side to side, and there's a class next door with some kids having a little painting class. We have lots of stuff here at the Art Center, like I was saying earlier. There's pottery and hand-built pottery, you know, drawing, and I teach a watercolor class, and that's been a lot of fun. It's just been a really nice way for folks to stay connected during these times. So this blending tool is really nice because you can get a nice, we call this a middle value, and I can use it to get a very nice softness. And then I can also take my pencil on top of the shaded area and do some line work. So the marks that I'm making on the bird's little head are really kind of going with the shape of his head. In other words, they're curved and they follow the curve of the top of his head. I'm sorry, I know you probably need to see this because I keep covering up. I'm left-handed, so maybe I'll move it over to this side. Okay, so if you're getting this organized up at the top, I think that's the trickiest part. When I look here, I can see the feathers that are moving this way downward in the bird's body, and they're let's see, they're sort of fanning out this way. But I do want to show you something that helps a lot. So when I look at these feathers, they are shaped like little little triangles, and they're kind of skinny little triangles. Okay, so when you think about shading them, because they are light, underneath is a little bit darker. So all you have to do is make that little triangle shape and then shade around it with your pencil a little bit, and that helps us to see those lighter feathers that are along this part of the bird. So little triangles. And as I said, you don't have to make every single mark, every single feather. Just a little bit will help the viewer's eye to know what we're doing here. Okay. So when I get over to this part, I can see that it's a bit darker, and that helps us see this lighter area right along here. So that's why I shaded this a bit darker. And then I can work into the light area again with those strokes that come inward to the body and give the appearance of the feathers that are kind of fluffy right in that part right here. So I go back and forth between shading. I've gotten into a little bit of dark here. I go back and forth. And generally when I work, I think about the whole shape, and I work my way around it and in it, and instead of just doing one particular area at a time. That's how I do it, but everybody has a different way that works for them. If you like to draw, I think it's just I think it's just really fun to think about all the things you could draw. You never would get very tired of it, that's for sure. What did Deb say? She said, she's one of our drawing teachers here, and she said, if you can't think of something to draw, just open up the refrigerator. I was like, okay, open up the refrigerator and take stuff out. I mean, like, you know, draw some fruit, draw some vegetables.
Yeah. And I'd be eating instead of
And
drawing.
eating it too, yeah. But I thought that was really cute, you know. So I like to work around my subject, as I said. So I'm along here now, going back and forth between some shading and some line work. Can kind of do it at the same time. Now I noticed also that along this edge here of his tail feather, there's a very dark area, and then there's a light hitting this. So the way you do that is to, you know, you can just draw this line. If you're doing a background, then I would shade next to it. I didn't really do a background. I just made a little very fine line. And that's where those fine pencils come in. It's getting a little more detailed hard edge. So that's okay to leave it like that. The kids next door are saying some silly things, right?
They're talking about zombies and
Oh,
monsters.
oh dear, zombies and monsters.
And what they use to kill zombies or
Oh dear. You guys doing okay? Another thing I noticed when I was working on this project, when I look at the bird's, his little breast area, and I was talking earlier about the patterns, I can see this pattern here, and I can see this pattern here in this open area of light. And these feathers are going down, but also in that little triangle shape I was talking about as well. They're sort of fanning out this way, and on this side they're fanning out that way. And when you get to this edge here, they're sort of a nice curved line, which is sort of fun to see. Okay, so I need to do that on mine. I didn't notice it before. This curved edge. And then when I do this area here, I just would leave it white because it's my lightest light, or it's not my only lightest light, but on the bird, this is definitely very, very light, as well as this spot here on his eye. So I just leave what we call paper white, right? And I don't have to even put very many marks there. I can make the marks next to it as I'm describing this section of his body, but I can leave this white. All right. So also when we're doing some shading, we want to think in terms of light values, medium values, and we talked about our dark values. So paper white is your lightest light. Pressing really hard with your pencil is where you would go for the eye and this part of his tail feathers. Again, I know I'm repeating myself, but most of the bird is a middle value. So that's where we see these, this value here, which is really a middle value. And then, you know, we describe this area here is a little bit, a little lighter, right? So a lot of artists will look at their work, the drawing that they're doing, and looking at the subject matter, and you can squint, and that helps you to decipher or to see where are the lights and where are the darks and where are all those medium values. And most people get pretty stuck on not being able to see the middle values, and it takes a bit of practice to do that. And that's why having your photo image in black and white really helps a lot, right? So I'll keep working or I'll leave this up here for you guys. I'll keep working a little bit on mine, and you can see this photo image and continue with your drawing and your shading. And then when we're done, we can share. That'll be fun to see, you know, what you've been doing. I just find for me that that drawing is really relaxing in the way, in the sense that you are focusing on the just working on your drawing, and you really have to focus and pay attention, and it kind of takes away some of the takes away stress. Maybe that's the best way to put it, right? Kind of get wrapped up in it, which is good for us, right? I keep looking at my photo image and my picture that I started drawing, and I see things that that I want to fix or that I might want to change. And so that's okay. You can still do that if you need to make some adjustments. I'm looking at his tail feathers and noticing that it's a little different than I saw it at first. So really drawing and doing art is about seeing and noticing things, and then describing them with your pencil or your paintbrush or whatever it is you're working with. And I can see where I need to do a little erasing. Well, that's where that nice kneaded eraser comes in, because we can use it and shape it into small little little areas or little shapes to get into places that are a little bit delicate maybe, and remove some of the pencil marks that we made. It's also a good way to get some highlights if you need to. You can use it to pull away some of the pencil that you've done. I noticed I got a little too dark along this edge underneath his beak. So I'm going to lighten that up a bit. And then I was just playing around with mine and drawing some little berries. And you can certainly do that later if you don't have time. I drew a little branch for him. And it doesn't have to be super detailed. It can just give the indication that the bird is perched on a branch, or in this case, it looks like a little fence or something like that. His little leg and the claws are a little tricky. I noticed when I was looking at this that it's dark along the top edge and a little bit of a medium value on the other side. And then there's a nice little sliver of light right between that dark and medium value. So you can try and make that happen. And then also the feathers that are going over top of, I'll hold it up so you can see it, but the feathers that are kind of going over top of his little leg, excuse me. It's probably a proper word for his legs. I can't think of it. Sorry. Yeah. And there's another one tucked back over there. Trying to think of what we didn't talk about. The beak, maybe. Could go back and kind of look at that beak a little bit more. There is light hitting the top of the beak. The value is medium here, and then pretty dark at the bottom part of it. So you can sort of get that happening with your drawing here. So Amanda, I think you mentioned that you had taken some other classes. Can't see her.
I clicked her microphone, so but I can't.
Yeah.
Sorry, my phone just rang. I'm so sorry. I had to pick up the phone. Yes, I took some of the watercolor classes and a couple of the drawing classes, and it's been just wonderful.
Oh, good. That's
Thank you
wonderful.
so much.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful to hear. And I was talking earlier to James, and we were mentioning the fact that this is just reaching so many people all over. And I'm teaching a watercolor class with Tom right now, and there are 5 or 6 of the students are from other parts of the country, which is really remarkable.
Yeah, that's really amazing.
Yeah, it's been really fun because they have different things to add, and we're talking about Minnesota winter, and they're talking about how nice it is outside right now. However, the sun is shining here, so I will say that's pretty cool that it's the sky. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's so pretty.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
lovely.
the sunsets have been just amazing, just beautiful sunsets. I would say we saw something the other night which was really cool, and I was looking out the window to see the sunset, and there was this pillar that was kind of an orange pillar just coming up from the horizon line, and you could see this interesting phenomenon, really. And I looked it up and found out that it's called a snow pillar. So that was kind of cool. Yeah. So you never know. You find beauty even when it's really, really cold out. So do you guys have any questions? I know that we don't have a lot of time, and you could also work on this yourself. And if you wanted to get this image, there's a website called Pixabay. I don't know if you've heard of that before, but that's where I got this image. They're free photographs that you can download, and that's where this robin in winter came from. So you can always get it and continue with your drawing. You might choose to do this in watercolor, which would be fun. We did a snowy owl a couple weeks ago. I think it was about a couple weeks ago, and that was really fun. Doing that snowy owl. And we did that with pencil. So.
And you, okay, that's the 2 for this month. On March 8th, I believe we're going to be having a free watercolor class at the same time
Oh yeah,
as today.
yeah, March. That's right. And there'll be another drawing class coming up, but I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. So.
That'll be 2 weeks after the watercolor class.
Yeah, so keep your eyes open for that.
Thank
Now,
you
as
so
I
much.
said, I just made a like a little branch for him, and you can do anything you want to for your bird. And again, you don't have to finish the whole thing. It can be just sort of a fading out, but I would have it, let's see, what's the right word? I wouldn't have it so that it ends down on the corner of your paper, sort of give it a little bit of an angle to it, but not going down to the corner, hopefully. And, you can just think about adding that. the branch would be a bit darker, which I didn't do this yet, but it would be a little bit darker underneath the bird. So if you're shading your branch, do a bit of shading here and there. And when you shade, you can just blend it too with your blending tool. A little bit. That's why I love these. And you can add a bit of texture, which I did. I didn't finish this part of it yet, and I'll keep working on it, but. So I want to sort of keep away from the look of outlining. I might start with an outline when I'm doing a shape, for instance. There's a little berry, but then I would get rid of that look so that it looks more whole, more realistic. Right? I'm shading when I do the berries around in a curved motion too. That might help. So put that back up.